Hey, it is time for some rapping Christmas music and me randomly talking. Well, I made some sugar cookies, which are actually one of my favorite foods that I haven't overcome yet because I was vegan for quite a while. When I went into eating disorder recovery, being vegan. However, the holidays are kind of coming around, and wow, that's really loud. However, the holidays are starting to come around, and I've realized there's a lot of fear foods out there that aren't vegan, but I still have like fears when it comes to them. And it's been starting to pop up in my head when someone offers me something, the number of calories before the reasons that I am vegan. So I've decided I'm tackling these fear foods. And last week I made pizza, and now we are conquering sugar cookies. Sounds kind of weird, but this, like, I don't know what you call it, like the pre-packaged, yeah, I ripped off the calories, so we're good. Pre-packaged sugar cookie dough that you just find in the normal grocery store. Um, I don't know why, it's always kind of freaked me out. So, I'm coming over that fear today, making myself some cookies, um, and also just going to talk about how I struggled with the holidays last year and how that's better preparing me for being in recovery again this year near the holidays. Um, and I'm actually, yeah, I was going to grab a chair, but I'll just keep standing because my cookies only have 4 minutes left now. So basically, the holidays last year were very stressful for me because I started recovery on October 5th, which is my birthday. That didn't go so well. I remember restricting after my birthday, even though like I knew I wasn't supposed to, and I do remember throwing out my birthday meal, which not my proudest moment, but I feel like that's something I need to say, just get it all out there. So the first big holiday, of course, that came after all that was Halloween, which wasn't a problem for me. I was at school. I just let my schoolwork take over for Halloween. Didn't really take any of the candy or anything that anyone was passing out. That was easy because I was like, oh, I'm vegan. I can't take any of that. Which is one of the reasons why I'm now also going after candy. Hence the bowl of Hershey's Kisses also in front of me. I might put some of these on my cookies. Not sure yet, but we'll find out. Um, so I just kind of passed on that. I was like, I'm vegan. And like people were like, okay, whatever. Occasionally I'd run into someone and they'd be like, oh, we have airheads, or oh, I have Swedish Fish, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, and then I'd take it, but I wouldn't eat it. And then like later I'd eat it in moderation, but I really wouldn't let myself have all those kind of foods like I should have being in recovery. And then, of course, skip forward a little bit to, um, we just had it. What is it called? Thanksgiving. There we go. Thanksgiving was actually kind of a challenge because my family still doesn't understand the whole benefits to being vegan, and I got hassled for it the entire time last year. They're like, oh, why don't you have some turkey? You know, I was vegetarian for a long time before that. They're like, oh, you should have some turkey. It's good for you. Um, no, I'll pass. I'm good. And then they put like, I don't know, just like all these stupid things, like the stuffing, like they went out of their way to put turkey broth in it instead of vegetable broth. So I ended up just bringing my entire like own place setting full of food along with me, including some stuffing, some mashed potatoes. I had wild rice and mushrooms, and some green beans, and some squash made with Miyoko's. butter, which is amazing. If you've never had it and you're vegan or dairy free, give it a try because it's delicious and you can use it any way you normally use butter. It's wonderful. I love it. 1 minute left. So yeah, that happened. That didn't go well for me either. I remember getting home after that. I took my own car there, and I left pretty much after we got done eating, and I threw that up too, which I was really upset because I was doing really well before that. I had like a month almost under my belt of I was still restricting somewhat, but I was no longer binging or purging. That went out the window at Thanksgiving. And then on December 3rd, which is after I recovered from my whole Thanksgiving ordeal, I buckled down and I was like, okay, we are doing this. Gotcha, my cookies. I put them in for 10 minutes when it said 11 to 14 and they're burnt. Look at those. They're like stuck to the pan. Well. Okay. I gotta find some parchment paper. Just once. I should have known to check the cookies. I'm surprised that I messed up. I can cook, but I can't bake if my life depended on it. Oh, shush. It said don't move these for like 5 minutes after you take them out. Let's just say these are well done. They look like hockey pucks. Oh, this is wonderful. Let's try this again. We're going for 8 minutes this time. Hopefully that works out better than the 11 that I put them in for last time. 10. I put them in for 10 last time. Anyway, I might try eating one of those while they're still warm and with some coconut milk. I'll let them cool down a little bit first. Anyway, so after that happened, December 3rd, for a long time I believed that to be my recovery date because I went a pretty long time without any behaviors. I was really proud of myself. However, since then, I've realized that my birthday has been my recovery date because I put in a lot of work to get me to that point in December. So I now stick with my birthday. However, December 3rd did really well through Christmas. Basically, I just kind of ignored diet talk over the holidays, which was rather hard to do, but I really found it helpful. I started making a Pinterest board actually of eating disorder recovery stuff. I can try to pull it up quick actually. And that helped me quite a bit. Okay, so basically what I have is this is my board. I can make it brighter for you. So this is my board. I have the black background actually. I have a section on intuitive eating that I started. There's not a lot of stuff there because I found other sources that were more helpful than Pinterest. Some articles, some relatable memes for recovery because sometimes I need a laugh. Let's admit it, it gets tough sometimes. And this section called Fighting the Good Fight, which is why I have 619 pins. I just say random things that I found scrolling through Pinterest and I repinned them? Pinned them? I don't know. But just like things that say eating is not a crime. Just a lot of stuff. Just like things that kept me kind of like spunky and ready to fight back, if that makes sense. Like against the voices that were in my head that were like, we should starve, we should not eat this, we should not eat that. Just like crazy things of that. So I have like one, it says, let me find a good one. It says, if you want to heal, then you have to make peace with your broken pieces. Yeah, I said that right. And just like you're worth more than your darkness. Reasons to recover, to feel comfortable and lovely in your cute bra and panties. Just stuff like that. Recovery is a struggle, but because of that struggle, I have my life back today. Things like that. It helped me a lot. Um, I'm actually I don't know what this means, but I have a pin code. If you can see that, I don't know. I actually don't know my name on here, but if you want, if there's anyone watching this that somehow wants to look at it, I can figure out a way to let you see it. So that helped me a lot, just scrolling through Pinterest and stuff, looking at those like body acceptance, body neutrality things, and just like things to boost your confidence. Also, ignored, I think I said this before, but I ignored a lot of the diet talk. Pinterest helped with that. But a thing in my family, they were like, oh, we're going to have to start dieting after all these holidays and stuff. And I just was kind of like, why? Um, at that point, I was in this kind of fight back kind of stage of my eating disorder recovery. And I was like, this is stupid. Like, it was when I first started really going anti diet. And I was like, why do you guys think that's necessary? And I just like kind of challenged him, and I didn't like push it a lot, but I pushed it a little bit enough to make him kind of think about it. I'm sure it's going to reappear this year. It always does. But yeah, if you feel comfortable enough, just kind of be like, hey, I'm not comfortable with talking about this. Can we switch to something else? Or if someone talks about their diet or new workout routine or lifestyle, that's the one that always kills me. People that are like, oh, I have a keto lifestyle now. No, it's a diet. Um, yeah, just see if you want to challenge them about it, or just if someone mentions something to you, be like, oh, cool. And then switch the topic. Be like, hey, I really love your scarf. Or did you see that football game the other day? And just talk about it, get their minds off of it, and kind of like divert the situation. Um, so, yeah, that's how I handled Christmas. The next big one that came up was New Year's, which did not go so well for me. There's a little bit of drinking involved, champagne. And I just I felt like I ate too much, and all the stress from trying to persevere through all the previous holidays was finally catching up to me, and I didn't yet have a healthy way of coping, and I tanked. The next day, I guess that was my first relapse, really. Pretty much the entire month of January was all downhill. It was not a good time. I started restricting again. I started binging and purging. At that time, I also was exercising in a very unhealthy way. I was training a lot, and I'd go, um, and it wasn't uncommon for me to be there for 4 or 5 hours a day at the gym where I trained. Um, I'd go home. I remember I'd wake up sometimes in the middle of the night because my muscles were so sore I couldn't sleep, or it like hurt to breathe sometimes, hurt to lay down. So I, w- I was not proud of that, but at that time, towards the end of January, I finally talked with my therapist. I previously saw her for depression and anxiety. Well, I have no idea if these are done or not, so I'm just gonna pull them out and let them sit for a couple minutes. They look better. I'm just gonna let them chill. Anyway, so I previously was talking to this therapist about depression and anxiety, also PTSD. It's a story for another time. But then she could tell something, I was hiding something and that something was up. So I finally told her about my eating disorder, and um, took a couple visits, but we finally figured out what to classify it as. Um, to this day, it's still like a mix between bulimia and Osfeed. It depends on where in the fluctuation of my eating disorder I was, because sometimes it was definitely more anorexic. There was a couple times that I probably would have qualified for an anorexic diagnosis, but I didn't go to a doctor at those times. So therefore, you can't really pass diagnose someone. Anyway, so I was finally open to her about that, and that pulled me out of my relapse. We found some new coping strategies, which was um, I laid off more from the gym because I realized that was it was a healthy coping strategy disguised no, a bad coping strategy disguised as a good one. So I laid off from that. It actually really helped. I hate to say it, but I got a very severe concussion at practice one of those days, um, and that actually really helped me. I hated it at the time, um, but it was one of those things that I kind of needed to get me on track for recovery to be where I am now. So that happened. Um, by that time, we were finally out of the holidays, and I was able to kind of like buckle down in recovery. Um, and I think the thing that stressed me out most was putting the pressure on myself to be perfect in recovery, which definitely delayed progress. I am a perfectionist. I'm trying to be a recovered perfectionist, but it takes time, and I'm trying not to be perfectionistic in reaching that recovered perfectionist state because I don't want to mess it up. So I'm willing to accept that it takes time. However, I was like, oh, I need to be perfect at recovery. I can't mess up. And that's what led me to mess up. I think there are sometimes that I don't want to say allowing yourself to slip, but allow yourself to have freedom. Um, that's what helps me get to where I am now. So, what I mean by that, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this without sounding weird. Um, it's almost like kind of fighting back against yourself, if that makes sense. So one of the things that I did this with, I had this thing, I would never drink liquid calories. And that was one of the first things I tackled with my therapist because it was just one of the things that popped in my head when she asked, "What things do you want to kind of like conquer?" And I was like, "Liquid calories," because people are always asking me if I want to drink or something, and I'm always like water or unsweetened iced tea. Those were my things. I wouldn't do diet sodas because I'm so anti diet soda, it's not even funny. If you're gonna drink soda, drink the real thing. That'll be another video in the future sometime, probably. My rant against that. I wouldn't do juice. There's like all these things that I wouldn't do. So at first, um, the way I started tackling this was I'd get water and I'd look at it and be like, do I really want water? And the answer most of the time was no. So then I would, um, gosh, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this because it's kind of tough with the drinking examples, but it's the one that helped me the most. Um, so I'm going to try to talk around this if that makes sense. Basically, what I would do is I'd go somewhere and I'd order a drink. And at first, my first reaction would be to say to the waiter or waitress, if we are at a sit down restaurant, would be, I also hate ordering. That's another story. Um, but I'd order, let's say, an unsweetened iced tea. By the time it came, I'd kind of sunk in, did I actually really want that unsweetened iced tea or do I think I needed it? And most of the time, the answer was, I think I needed to save calories for what I was eating. So then I would look at the menu. Don't look at the calories. That's a very important part. I'd look at the menu and I'd order something. And I kind of did like the cross off things. Like if I wanted a salad, it had to be because I wanted a salad, not because it was like the lowest calorie option. And a lot of times I'd end up settling for the veggie burger because they're normally pretty easy to make vegan. Um, and it's a hearty meal. So I'd order a veggie burger, and that's something I was more comfortable with. Not as comfortable with the salad, but something I can like could have kind of challenged myself with. So I'd get like a veggie burger. So then they'd bring that out, and then I'd look at my meal and be like, okay, I can do the veggie burger. I've done this before. Might not be the same as that place we went a while ago, but it's still a veggie burger. So I'd be like, I got this. And then I'd look at my drink and be like, unsweetened iced tea. Really? We're comfortable with the veggie burger, so let's try ordering an unsweetened iced. No, a sweetened iced tea. So then I'd have my unsweetened iced tea and my sweetened iced tea. I realize it's kind of expensive depending on where you go. It's kind of easy if you can fill it up yourself because then you can do half and half. But you can like alternate drinking between the two glasses. So in that way, you kind of like weasel your way into the calorie beverage. Um, Another thing that I'd do would be like I'd get water and then be like, no, I'm gonna try juice because like if someone would come up and they'd be like, oh, we're gonna get soda, and then I'd be like, I don't want soda because for a long time I didn't drink soda. So if something would come up, I might be like, order a water, but then I'd be like, no, you don't actually want water. You want something that's tasty and delicious. So I'd make a compromise. I'd think of something that didn't have a lot of calories, like unsweetened iced tea, but then I'd be like, hey, I'm also going to get some lemonade because lemonade tastes delicious. And then I'd make like an what is it? Arnold Palmer? Like the 50-50. Working some calories, but it's also delicious. And I also had that like safe food, the unsweetened iced tea, or yeah, safe food, um, there with me to like help me move on. So I did that quite a bit. Um, I can talk about that more at a future time. But that's kind of what I started doing after the holidays. That was when I started tackling more of the fear foods because I realized I didn't have the stress of the holidays. So, like, don't push yourself too hard in the holidays because they're stressful enough the way it is. You don't need to add any extra pressure to yourself. And you don't have to be a perfectionist. Like I said, if I ordered like the veggie burger, say I ordered something higher calorie, but then also pushed myself to get a killer drink too, then I'd be stressing about having to eat all of it at the same time. But yet it would be so much stress on my system with like thinking about all the calories. It was better for me to go in that middle ground where it wasn't perfectly going after recovery, but slowly working my way up, if that makes sense. Anyway, um, I think my cookies are done. Not positive. Yeah, they seem to turn out okay. And it's actually cool enough that I can just take them off my hands. So I'm gonna put this last round of cookies in, and I think that's all I really wanted to talk about today. Um, so yeah, I hope at least one person out there finds this helpful. Like I said, I mainly make these videos just to like get stuff off my chest, but make them public just in case there's someone that finds the smallest piece of information in one of these videos and it helps them in some way or another, then I think it'll be worth it. So, um, that's all I really know right now. And I'm going to challenge myself now. I'm going to eat some of these cookies. They look pretty good. Um, and I think I might melt some. Something just made a noise in there. But anyway, I think I might melt some chocolate or crush up some candy cane and put that on the ones in the oven right now. But I'm going to wait till they're closer to being fully done. So, yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And if you're making holiday cookies at the same time as me, um, hopefully, I don't know where I was going with that, but challenge yourself just a little bit, but be careful. I had something I was going to say at the end, but I don't remember, so I'm just going to stop recording. And apparently, our Christmas music stopped playing. Oh well, sorry about that. I didn't even realize that happened. And now I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop recording this. But I hope you have a good rest of your day and be safe, everyone. Bye.